Yee-haw! Howdy, y'all, and darn tootin' to ya. We're reading Berwig the Bold. Perloo the Bold. And currently, we are on chapter 18. And it's called Berwig, Senyous, and Gumpel. Now, we don't know who this Gumpel character is, so we're going to find out. Let's dig in and start reading. Hooey! I tell you what. Here we go. Chapter 18. Hold on, I gotta adjust. Right. Left alone, Berwig scratched himself all over, giving particular care to behind his ears and under his chin. I detest Senyous, he grumbled to himself. He treats me with nothing but disdain. But by Magwat, I'm the grantor, not him. Very well. I'll make him understand. He reached for the bell pull and jingled it. Within moments, there was a tap on the door. Enter! A warrior hopped into the room and pulled his left ear, then waited for orders. Find Gumpel. Tell her I need her. Yes, grantor. The warrior withdrew, and Berwig, still muttering oaths against Senyous, began to eat while watching impatiently. Upon leaving Berwig, Senyous had hovered about the grantor's door, wondering if anything would happen. He did not have to wait long. The warrior Berwig summoned arrived, met with the grantor, then left. Stop, Senyous called, as soon as the warrior emerged from Berwig's room. The warrior halted. Do you know me? Senyous demanded. Senyous, first assistant to the grantor. Right, pull your ear. The warrior did so. It's my job, Senyous said, to make sure everything the grantor requests is done properly and quickly. Do you understand? The warrior nodded. He sent for you, and I presume gave you an order. What was it? To fetch Gumpel. Gumpel? Senyous exclaimed in surprise. Well then, do it quickly, but after she meets with Berwig, you are to bring her directly to me. Do you understand? Me immediately. The warrior pulled at his ear and hurried off. Gumpel, muttered Senyous angrily as he hopped away. Detestable creature. Not long after, Berwig, sitting in his room eating, heard a tap on his door. Share your name. Gumpel, oh grantor, came a soft whisper. Enter. The door opened very slowly. At first, Berwig thought no one was there. Then Gumpel put her head around the door. She was a short, squat, round monomer with bleary eyes and floppy ears. Her mouth was slack, her feet smelled like old pigeon nest, and her smock of mole fur was grimy. Ugh. When she moved, which she did as infrequently as possible, it was like a wet slug. Solitary by nature, she avoided all, even as she was avoided by all. But by being thoroughly ignored, she was able to move through the tribe as if invisible, though Berwig had employed Gumpel any number of times as his personal spy. He looked upon her with disgust. Did you send for me? Gumpel said. Her voice was soft, and she uttered sentences with irritating pauses between each word. Yes. Gumpel oozed into the room like a spreading stain. Berwig, amidst his own slop and filth, felt the need to wave a paw before his nose to dispel her smell. I suppose, he said, you know Senyous. Gumpel lifted a shoulder and let it drop. I think so. Spy on him. Report to me about what he does, who he meets with, and whatever gossip you might muck up. As you wish, grantor, Gumpel said sleepily, and slipped out of the room as noisily as she had come. The moment Gumpel hopped from the room, the warrior approached her. Senyous desires to see you, he said. Gumpel paused, peered up at the warrior with lidded eyes, then glanced toward Berwig's room. As you wish, she mumbled. Senyous and Gumpel met at the very bottom of the central tribe burrow in a small dingy room. Senyous's eyes were alert, attentive. Gumpel's eyes suggested she was about to fall down from exhaustion. Senyous smiled thinly. I have always admired you, he said in his feathery voice. Gumpel, looking up as if surprised to hear anyone speak. Have you? She muttered. How very generous. Quiet, careful, loyal work is what I admire, Senyous said, toying with his tattered smock so as to bring attention to its decrepitude. And I, Senyous, I like modesty and humility. The old Monomer snorted slyly. We know each other well. Perhaps, Gumpel said, with a yawn, while taking note of Senyous's sharp pike that lay on the ground close to his paw. All the more reason, then, Senyous said, not to waste time. I believe you are working for Berwig. I never know, Gumpel replied, who I work for. Stupid. Sometimes I work for this one, sometimes another. She yawned so widely Senyous was forced to observe her tonsils. Ugh. I've been known to lose my way, she said slowly. And how, Gumpel, do you solve that problem? By always speaking the truth. Very well, then, pressed Senyous. I believe Berwig sent you to spy on me. Is that true? Gumpel pulled down an ear, gazed at his tip, then began to pick upon some matted hairballs on her arm. Why, she drawled, should you even think such a thing? Because, Senyous hissed, it is my nature to think such things. Come, Gumpel, he said, unable to suppress his impatience. We both know what we're about. Gumpel sighed. I suppose. Senyous, trying to pay no mind to Gumpel's smell, leaned forward. Gumpel, he whispered, have you considered that I might save time and energy if we worked together? I'm always in favor of saving energy, Gumpel replied listlessly. What, Senyous asked, do you think of Berwig? Senyous, she said. Thinking may be all right for some, but for me, thinking is exhausting. Senyous inched closer. Their noses, his dry, cracked, and gray, hers sticky, moist, and pale green, almost touched. Ugh. Gumpel. Gumpel, he whispered, struggling to keep from gagging. I believe a war is coming. Gumpel's bleary eyes widened a fraction. Is there, she said. Between whom? The Mortimers against the Felbarts. Is this good? She asked. It will be good for you and me, Senyous informed her. Berwig will hop off at the head of the army, and... His voice trailed off. And what? Gumpel asked, blinking with the effort of asking still another question. Many will be hurt or even killed. Are you talking about Berwig? Murmled Gumpel. Perhaps. That would be awful, Gumpel said. Who would be Granter then? To speak the truth, Senyous confided, I have never given the question much thought. But since you ask, who would be the Granter? Well, perhaps you? Me? Gumpel exclaimed. Why not? Senyous suggested. It can be anyone. Gumpel stared at Senyous. There was nothing sleepy about her now. She sat erect, her stumpy ears stood tall, her mouth went slack, her nose dripped with excitement, her eyes watered. The next moment, however, she collapsed upon herself like a decaying puffball. Not me, she said, wiping her nose with an ear. Too strenuous. But you, Senyous, you would make a fine Granter, and your loyalty is well known. Senyous nodded. Especially, he said, to those who help me. As you wish, Gumpel mumbled, and the two gazed at one another. I must go, she said, heaving herself up. Berwig wished me to report about you. So saying, she slunk away. As she went, Senyous reached for his pike and hefted it. Why not, he thought, kill the harpy now and be done with her? Deceitful, treacherous creature. Instead, he put the pike aside and with a burst of energy, hopped down a tunnel until he came to a small room that contained a ladder. The ladder went straight up until it came to a ledge just outside Berwig's private chambers. As soon as Senyous got there, he squatted down, content to wait and listen. Gumpel, meanwhile, made her slow way back to Berwig's quarters. She was trying to decide what to say to him. Tell the truth, she decided. Some of it, anyway. Sorry, I didn't do it. Half of Berwig's room, she halted. But do I believe? She mumbled. Senyous was right. I would be a good grantor, a sweet, lovely grantor. With moments, Gumpel was standing before Berwig. He was reclining on his bed, eating and scratching. Well, he demanded, what's Senyous up to? War with the Felbarts. Berwig dismissed the notion with a wave of his sticky paw. I know about that, he snapped. He thinks the tribe will support me if there's a war. Grantor, Gumpel said, Senyous does not want you to lead the army against the Felbarts. Why not? He thinks you'll get too much glory, become too powerful. He fears you will be such a fine warrior, nobody will notice him. Did he really say that? Berwig asked. Do you think I would lie? Gumpel replied. Sly, vicious Senyous, Berwig snarled. Go away, he barked. I have to plan this war of mine. Will the war happen? Gumpel asked. That's my business, Berwig snapped. As you wish, Gumpel murmured as she oozed out of the room. By Magwad, Berwig said out loud to himself while working on an itch that had settled into the small of his back. I will have this war. What's more, I'll go at the head of the army. I'll show Senyous. So saying, he stretched for a bowl of honey and a plate of prebe and began to gorge himself. Senyous, having heard Gumpel and Berwig's entire conversation as well as Berwig's private rumblings, fairly purred with satisfaction as he heeled down the ladder. The sly Senyous is making moves. I shall be grantor. All right. That was chapter 18. And we got a new character there. She's flavorful, is what I would say. Stinky, smelly, hobo type of bunny. I didn't know what voice to do, so sorry if it sounds stupid. But hey, I don't know how to do a whole lot of female character voices, so that's the best I can do. Anyway, so yeah, Senyous is trying to get Berwig to die in the war so that he can take over and have Gumpel be his like left hand woman bunny. And Berwig just fell into it. He's like, yes, glory and war. But who knows if he dies or if they even go to war or whatever. I'm pretty sure there was a battle when I read this when I was younger. We'll find out when I read again with Reading with Drew with Perloo the Bold by AVI. Tune in next time to Chapter 19. Perloo and Lucavara make a plan. Perloo the Bold by AVI.